Jenny, thank you very much for joining me this morning on Capture Caledonia. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you, Ewan.
Brilliant. Now, you've come in to talk all about Wild Wimmin Swimming, a wild swimming group for women that's been created by yourself. And I must admit, I absolutely love the name of this group. When did the group start and what was the inspiration behind it?
Oh, thank you. I like the name as well. It certainly grabs the attention, doesn't it? The inspiration came actually, I was at Gartmore Dam, which is in Clackmannanshire, with my new puppy. And it was a beautiful sunny day. So it was July last year, and the puppy went into the water, and I thought, do you know what? That just looks amazing, and I would quite like to do that myself. But didn't really think too much more about it. And it just the kind of memory came back later on that evening, and I just put up a post on my own Facebook group asking if any of my female friends would be interested in trying wild swimming. And it basically grew from there, because the number of people that were kind of my personal friends that came back and said, I've always fancied doing that, or yeah, let's do it, because of course swimming pools are closed. And it just grew from there. We went out on our first swim in August. I had invested in a wetsuit because I wasn't feeling brave enough to go in without a wetsuit on. And we started off by throwing ourselves in the River Tee by Doon several times over the course of a morning, and then we progressed into lochs in and around Stirling and around the Trossachs, and of course now we're back in lockdown. I'm in Clackmannanshire and doing my swimming in Clackmannanshire with the group.
That's brilliant. So this is very much an activity that has been inspired by current events and maybe not being able to do a routine or have stuff that you would normally do.
Absolutely, yes. And what I would say is that I'm really, and I'm not just speaking for myself here, but other members of the group are saying, why did we not discover this years ago? And actually feeling a little bit annoyed about it, because we just love it so much. It's become like a proper addiction, and a good addiction to have, because it just makes us feel amazing. So. Yeah.
You know what, we connected on social media, and I saw your initial comment about the group that you'd started. And this is actually something that I've kind of got into this year as well. In the summer, I did the same thing. I thought, oh, that's something I'd love to do. And I went and bought a wetsuit. And I luckily, in the summer, when restrictions were eased, I got the opportunity to go to Iona. So that was my sort of first experience of like putting the wetsuit on and jumping off the pier and going for a swim around the sea. And it was so exhilarating. I absolutely loved it. And I must admit, I've not been as brave as you. I've not got the wetsuit back out and gone for it just now. I was going to ask you, a lot of people listening might like the idea of wild swimming on a beautiful hot summer's day, but how do you sell the idea of it all year round?
That's a really, really good question, because it's also really interesting because we've had to use hammers and axes to get in through the ice over this last week to continue with our swimming. And I can very much see why people, even in my own social media posts, saying, what on earth are you thinking of? Absolutely not for me. What I would say is that the first time that I even had the wetsuit on, I went into Loch Lubnig, for example. It felt absolutely freezing, and that was August. So it's also amazing how quickly you can build up a tolerance to cold water. And it's basically your body just adapts to it. Safety is a really important thing for us as well in our group. So, paying attention to what your body's telling you. And we're really good at looking out for one another. Obviously, we can only go out 2 at a time at the minute, but safety in numbers, etc.
So have you found the more that you've done it?
I would say as well that one of our newest members, I would say one of our newest members, Claire, has lurked on the Facebook group for a while, and was kind of tentatively, I want to come along, and she got some of the kit for Christmas, and came out. I think maybe was it Boxing Day she came out, and she went out every single day thereafter. And that was her first go at it, so she got completely hooked in the ice. So I'm not even sure she's managed to have a proper swim yet because it's been so cold and frozen.
It does seem to be exhilarating and addictive. I know people, I'm originally from near Aberdeen, so I've got friends in Aberdeen who do the traditional, jump into the sea on New Year's Day or on Boxing Day or Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of friends who did it for the first time this year and have said how exhilarating and how brilliant that you feel afterwards. Is that a feeling that you get every time that you do it?
Absolutely. I think there's an initial exhilaration that you get whenever you're going into the water, and there's a bit of a sharp intake of breath, and then you just need to go for it. I think not just myself, but I know that other members of the group would say that they feel the benefits for the whole day. So if you go in first thing in the morning or kind of mid-morning, you feel really, really great all day. So, and it has this impact then on other parts of your life. So, and I think the other thing as well is that the swimming never seems too much of a chore. And I don't know if you've ever been a member of a gym, or you've signed up for fitness classes or something, and there's just something about it that makes you go, I know I'll feel better after it, but it's the thought of doing it. Whereas swimming for us, it's how can we do it, and when's the next time? So it's just it's just really interesting that I never really have to think about excuses because I just want to do it.
That's amazing. How often would you say that you're doing it at the moment?
Well, certainly over the Christmas break, we were doing it, and well, like I say, Claire did it almost every day. So maybe 3-4 times a week, where we could manage it. And my plan is that I'm going to try and ditch the wetsuit come kind of the springtime. So that's I've thrown down the gauntlet to myself. I said it out loud now too, so it'll have to happen.
I was just thinking as well, you said a bit earlier there that lockdown's obviously reducing the numbers of you that can go out, but are you keeping in contact, on social media? Are you keeping each other motivated to get out there and to do it?
Yeah, we absolutely are, and even though I started this group, it is not my group. It's a community of like-minded women who don't take themselves too seriously and just want to have a laugh, basically, but get the benefits of the swimming at the same time. And what I'm really loving is seeing all the posts in the different local authorities. So we're pretty much across the central belt. So when I see the Falkirk girls and when I see the Stirling girls, and just knowing that they're cracking on with it and keeping doing it regardless, and obviously we talk about it's going to be great whenever we can cross the county lines again, and we can go back to Benneker and have a night swim, or we can go back to Lubnik or wherever. We're really looking forward to that.
You're talking about it. It sounds so appealing. I'm starting to feel like I want to get involved, right now and just go for it. If somebody is listening and they like the idea of going wild swimming, what would your top tips be for a newbie who wants to get involved in this activity?
I think first of all, find someone to go with you. Always do it with at least one other person at the moment. But the rules are the rules at the moment, but definitely it's not a solo activity, particularly if you're a newbie. And I mean, a group like Wild Wimmin Swimmin, there are other ones. There's Wild Swim in Scotland, there's West Lothian Dippers, there's a few out there as well that I would encourage you to have a wee to join those communities, but also see what other people are up to. Groups like that are really good about advising on kit, so you don't have to spend a huge amount of money, but also just kind of spending time researching where you're going and going with somebody that's been there and done it before, and you'll go back. The first time it can be a wee bit daunting and feel a bit. I was certainly quite anxious the first time I went, and afterwards I thought, what on earth was I worried about? So just do it. I think a number of people in our group, would say the same. In fact, would it be helpful if I read you out some of the comments that they sent to me?
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked them, because it's not, like I say, it's a community. It's not my group. So one of them is, I love swimming. This is Sarah, but hate swimming pools. And for me, it's like the difference between running on a treadmill and running through beautiful countryside with mates. I've wanted to do it for ages, but no idea where to start until Jenny set this group up. it's not really a solo activity because of the whole drowning thing, which is sensible. During lockdown, it's been fantastic to have an activity I could safely continue to do for both the social side of things as well as exercise. And as an added bonus, it gives me a break, as neither my husband or kids have any desire to get into freezing water on a Sunday, which is great. Sarah's mum also is one of our kind of our senior members, and she, she's in her 70s, and she likes to go in without a wetsuit on.
Wow, brilliant.
Which is great. One of my friends, Kelly, who's a personal trainer, actually, she's saying, she wrote a blog last year about it, and she's written, when I stop mid-loch to take in the views and consider the deep beneath me, it doesn't scare me, but rather comforts me. The unlimited nature of the great outdoor seems to shrink the fears of this year. Being out in the wild is what I need. Very poetic.
That's wonderful. I totally agree with that. I think this year, if more than anything, it's maybe taught us to connect more with what we have on our doorstep and what's outside, and all the amazing options that we do have around us. It's lovely to hear all these comments.
Yeah. I was going to say just one other thing is that so a couple of our members have had COVID and have been quite unwell with COVID and have since recovered. But there's started to be this research that cold water can help with the symptoms of long COVID. And one of our members has put a comment here about the difference that it's made to her in terms of recovering from her long COVID symptoms. So,
oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So it's a win-win, really, isn't it, Ewan?
Absolutely. It must be lovely for you to hear all those lovely comments as well, and the feedback coming in from people. What are your favourite spots for wild swimming?
Oh, that's a good question. I love Loch Venacher, but the interesting thing is I've only ever swum at Loch Venacher at night. So night swimming is a whole different kind of kettle of fish as well. So but it's a different kind of exhilaration that you get from that, and it's amazing. I do love Loch Lubnig as well, because the views, just around you, they're absolutely stunning. But because we're in Clackmannanshire, our favourite spot is a little kind of hidden gem called Aberdona, which is situated between Colesnaughton and Dollerbeg. So. And now I've told you about it, and now I've told your listeners about it. Hopefully it won't become overrun with lots of people, but it really is. It's stunning, and and it's helped. It certainly helped to keep us all sane through this next period of lockdown.
I love it. I really I'm actually tempted to say that maybe sometime we could go out and you could show me some of the spots, and I could maybe record some of it for the show and experience.
That would be amazing.
That'd be so much
fun.
fun.
Honorary wild women, and you can have a hoodie. We have hoodies and everything.
Oh, I was gonna say, this is a group I definitely want to be part of. It sounds brilliant. I think as well, it's just so nice to hear about community sort of led incentives coming together in a time where I think we really need it, and it's lovely to hear.
Oh, thank you. I certainly enjoy it. I'm very much about people myself, and having that time with others, whether it's one other or depending on the restrictions that have been around, just even 2 or 3 other people has been great. And you've got this one thing in common. Well, 2 things mostly. We're women, we're wild, and we like swimming. So I suppose that's 3 things. But it's great. Yeah. And
it's all summed up in the title of the group, which I think is perfect. Jenny, thank you so much for chatting to me.
You're very welcome.
I put a big sort of incentive onto the show of wanting to talk about activities and what Scotland has to offer, and the minute that we connected on social media, I just thought this was such a fantastic thing to talk about on the show. So I'm really glad that you've given me some of your time today to chat about it.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure.
And I will definitely maybe take you up on the offer of coming out, and you can show me some spots to wild swim. I'd love to do that. Absolutely, that is a proper date. Thank you so much, Jenny. Okay, you're very welcome. Thanks, Ewan.